Good evening. My name's Sean Kelly. I have the privilege of chairing the North American Advisory Board of the UCD Smurfit Graduate School of Business. So on behalf of my colleagues and I want to welcome you to our 13th annual benefit dinner. I have to be careful here because Alan Ennis's speech is up here too, so I have to be careful I don't read. But you're all very welcome. Actually, being here reminds me of the like one of the first public speaking events I was at. As you can probably tell, I'm not from these parts. So one of my first talks was to the Lisburn Chamber of Commerce. Some of you may know Lisburn is a small town south of Belfast. And my topic at the time was the impact of the Common Agricultural Policy on M&A in the agribusiness sector, a riveting topic. So I arrived, it wasn't a dinner, but it was an evening event, and I arrived, and there were three people in the front, and Ian McGarity, who was the chair of the Chamber of Commerce, he was one of the three. So before I got up to speak, I said, Ian, did you not tell your members I was coming? And he said, no, and when we find out who did, they're in big trouble. So I am glad you've came here. We've got a great agenda tonight and a great program. Let me first maybe acknowledge some of our distinguished guests. Of course, I think the honorees tonight, Breege O'Donoghue from Primark here with us. An interesting story. She's also here with her stepson Conor O'Dea and his wife Fiona. The good news are Fiona and Conor and I were classmates. We were the BCom class of 1980. So it was great. I haven't seen them in 35 years, so it's great seeing Conor and Fiona here, so you're very welcome. Our other dinner honoree tonight, Hugh McGuire and his wife Sue, who are here, you're very welcome. And Hugh's mum and dad have come all the way from Ireland as well, John and Mary, so you're very welcome. We also have last year's honoree. It doesn't seem like a year since we were here, but Brian O'Byrne and his wife Mary are here, so Brian, Mary, you're very welcome. We have the Irish Vice Consul General, Shane Cahill. We also have a former chair of the Irish Advisory Board, again from Ireland, Paul Harron and his wife Anne are here. So Paul and Anne, you're very welcome. I think I saw them earlier on, so all very welcome. All of the alumni guests and members of our American and US advisory boards that are here, you're all very welcome. Just a few words and then I'll hand over to the Dean. I think those of us both living here in the US and Ireland and abroad realize that the world is changing at a very rapid pace, I suppose driven by the changes in technology and the disruptive innovation that's going on at the moment across the world. And I think the new world, the new economy is all about, it's about information, it's about big data, it's about transformation. But it's also about relationships, collaborations, partnerships, connectivity. And I suppose more than ever, it's about ethics and integrity of business. And I think that's the opportunity for UCD School of Business. I think that change and a great business school like we had at UCD has a responsibility not to keep pace with that change, but to really help shape it. And I think when you look to the next stage of the development of UCD, the business school at UCD, there's a real opportunity to be a leader on the global stage in several key areas. And that's the vision for the business school, the aspiration to be a world leader in those areas that are relevant and where Ireland has a competitive advantage, such as digital business, such as the food business, such as financial services. And there's also an aspiration to really be innovative in learning, how you use technology, reimagine learning and reimagining business education. And that's the opportunity. And we're extremely grateful for all of you, all of the alumni, the guests, the business partners who are enabling UCD Business School to compete in this extremely competitive and ever-changing world. So I want to thank you for that. I want to thank all of you particularly because I know many of you in this room support the scholarship programs for UCD. I know many of us in this room wouldn't have the opportunities we've had and the success that we'd have if it wasn't for the education we received at UCD. And our hope, and I think hope again for many of you in this room, is that those talented students should have those same opportunities irrespective of if they can afford it or not. So thank you for the support. To let you know, the proceeds from this dinner will be going to support scholarships for North American students who are going to be studying at UCD to create that next generation of leaders. So again, thank you very much. It's a great cause. We really appreciate all your support. So with that, let me introduce the Dean of the School of Business at UCD, Professor Kieran O'Hogarty.
When we value and honour people as a business school on occasions such as this, we signal effectively what we value as a business school more generally. And for both honorees this evening, I think it's clear that these are two people who have made an impact internationally from Ireland in their own different ways, and who have, from the start they got in UCD, have made a real difference to the lives of people through their companies and through the work they've done. I'm introducing Bríd O'Donoghue, who's a member of the board of Primark, who joined Primark as a HR executive and from 1988 has been a member of their board, and has been really working assiduously to internationalise the Primark brand. And it started with 17 stores, now has 287 stores in 9 different markets, and is the brand leader in many of the markets that they've entered. And in particular, we're pleased to honour Bríd today in the US because their latest entry, their new market, is to the US market. And a woman who hails from a village called Boston on the border between Galway and Clare is now instrumental in setting up the Primark store in the old Filings basement in Boston itself in North America, and has made an entry as a retailer into this market, which is a very significant market for Irish companies and for a real game changer for Primark. And I'm particularly pleased to introduce Bríd in that context. My friend and colleague, and our friend and colleague Alan Ennis, will introduce his friend Hugh Maguire. And one of the things we're challenged with tonight is that we have 3 accountants speaking, Sean Kelly, myself and Alan, and we're all going to disprove the theory or the joke that the extrovert accountant is the one that talks to your shoes when he's talking to you. And both Bríd and Hugh and Alan himself and Sean are symbols and exemplars of the development of the UCD Smurfit School. Because my predecessors, 10 or 15 years ago, realised that to scale a quality business school as we wish to from Ireland, that we really had to be international. And like any business to scale from Ireland, the market in Ireland is of a certain size, but only of a certain size. And really that to be in a business school of quality, we had to internationalise both the content of the school and the character of the school. And that's what we have done and we continue to do, and we have more ambition to do this over the next number of years. So some of the exemplars of that are that 45 to 50% of the Smurfit School this year come from overseas, 53 different countries. 70% of our revenues are from non-exchequer sources. We generate directly from those students coming in student fees and more from our overseas operations, about 20 million in export revenues for Ireland. About 30 to 40% of our faculty, between 30 to 40% of our faculty are international, and 75 to 80% of those are internationally trained. All of them have experience of teaching internationally, either in our overseas programs or more generally. We have joined networks which have really strong international brands who see us as their peers. So we are partners and founder members of the GNAM network with Yale. We are members of a network called Partnership in Management, which in North America has schools such as Wharton, Cornell, Stern at NYU here in New York, Ann Arbor, Michigan, Austin, Texas. These are the schools which we see as our peers, and they see us as their peers. And every year we welcome about 300 students from North America to both the Quinn and Smurfit schools through study abroad, through the MBA program, through our MSc programs, and more generally in what we call a Global Network Week with Yale, which is happening this very week. So this week we have UCD students in Yale, Yale students in UCD. All of these things together are what we see as the internationalisation of a school which is based in Ireland but is not itself necessarily Irish, and that there's no conflict, no contradiction between a school such as ours, which is international, in a market such as Ireland, which is international. And Sean Kelly, you might have seen in a recent interview in Irish America, mentioned that part of the challenge of global business is to be both global and open to the world. And as a business school in Ireland, we see that as our challenge too. And that this is how we serve our own market, because our own market is also the same. Most Irish companies, like us, have quality product of scale, must internationalise as well. And that's why I'm particularly pleased this evening to welcome you all here as part of our network and our friends in New York, but more importantly to honour and to welcome Bríd O'Donoghue, because she is, in her work and in being here and in entering the US market in such force with Primark in Boston and elsewhere, she is a great example of what it is to be international out of Ireland, like a school such as us, like a brand such as Primark. So I'm very happy to welcome and to honour Bríd O'Donoghue this evening. A córdia fáiltín Bríd O'Donoghue chuig an stáitse. Go míle maith agah.
A gcuine úsla tá anachas ar an bheithúd seo a nocht agus is mór an nórdam a bheithhúr masc. Muile bhuiachas a UCD agus ar chorla. Firstly, may I congratulate Hugh Maguire of Glanbia PLC on his honorary selection. Warm congratulations, Hugh. Ask an Irish person to brainstorm United States of America and you'll get John Fitzgerald Kennedy. We Irish were inspired by his magic, one of our own with film star looks, and when he spoke, it was an oratory that we hadn't heard before. His speech delivered in our parliament was more than well crafted. It also tugged at our hearts, it tugged at our souls. His story was our story, his dreams were our dreams, his longings were our longings. He wasn't only an American dream, he was the Irish dream. We wanted for ourselves what he had, a life of fulfillment where success, opportunity, freedom and prosperity could be reached. That story is playing out for every nationality and ethnic group that has chosen USA in hope as a home. As Irish, we understand that diaspora story. My family similarly have lived that diaspora story with its gains and its pains, and my first cousin, a devoted man in religious life, ministered here in the United States. My uncle and aunts lived and worked here, and like many of that exiled Irish generation, also contributed generously to those at home. Funds faithfully and systematically recorded in the Irish economic statistics as immigrant remittances. My path could have been likewise, but otherwise, in that I transitioned between education and employment at a time of a growing economy, redirected by the policies of T.K. Whitaker and Prime Minister Lemass, and their faith in the rising tide, a journey about which I now speak. Firstly, I had the blessing of a stable foundation in the home to which I had the good fortune to be born. I chose well parents who were formed by in the politics of the national struggle from the opposing sides of the treaty, parents with perspectives on the world, whether global or parish, that extended and enhanced my horizons. Home was a farm, a good learning hub, resourcefulness, adaptability, solution focus and nous for commerce and politics are essential for the vagaries of agriculture. 1950s Ireland had a different education landscape. Many pupils did not complete their primary education. Few went on to second level and a tiny proportion reached third level. I acquired my secondary education with the Sisters of Mercy. This was a privilege not known to all from my parish and too few nationally. I followed a curriculum that was academic with an absence of technical subjects, a low priority in the sciences and a privileged position given to religious education and Irish language. My formal and informal education has continued in a pattern that has interwoven the worlds of both my employment and formal learning that suited my life. This has included my years at University College Dublin, and in relation to which I am honoured to be your guest. UCD, in celebrating with me this evening, I wish to acknowledge that my late husband, James St. Lawrence O'Dea, a medical doctor, was also a graduate of University College Dublin, and so too are 8 of my wonderful stepchildren. I made the transition from school to the world of work. Career guidance did not feature. The closest was Reverend Mother's visit to try and coax me to enter the order, to no avail. Thank God my colleagues say the children had a lucky escape. Instead, I entered the world of work into a growing Irish economy with an internship in the State Hotel Group. Of those 60s, I have many memories. A tone was set by the international student protests in Prague and in Paris. The civil rights in the US, where Martin Luther King supporters sang, "We shall overcome." It was also about pop music, long hair, psychedelic dress, much of it which passed me by, busy as I was in the world of work. A hospitality career spread over 17 years, including a 3-year career break working in Switzerland and Germany, which provided me with a love of diversity, culture and language. 36 years ago, I joined Primark and became a board member 8 years later. There were 17 stores, now 294, 11.2 million square feet, trading in 10 countries, soon to be 11 with the addition of Italy. 62,000 direct employees, many international awards, and last year's annual profit was in excess of $1 billion. My career in Primark has spanned many high-level areas of activities, with particular involvement internationally in the last 10 years, and I'm instrumental in leading with others our entry into this market, which offers a clear opportunity for Primark. English-speaking, close ties to Ireland and Europe, compelling proposition for our US customers, fluid property market with potential to build scale, and strong price position versus US competition. We are focusing on the Northeast Coast corridor with our distribution centre in Bethlehem, 41 days trading in Boston downtown crossing our first store and still going like a train. Primark in King of Prussia will open next month, and 6 further stores in preparation located in New York State, New Jersey, Connecticut and Massachusetts. Why Boston? As Kieran said, yes, I'm from Boston, born and bred in the village of North County Clare, Ireland. I would like to think that Boston County Clare was from which Boston, USA got its name. Sadly, history might say otherwise. The name of my townland, Boston, is more likely to be an act of irony, referring to its tiny size. Primark is a volume and value retailer. It enjoys #1 market position in Ireland, UK, Spain and Portugal. We deliver quality merchandise at the keenest prices in the most contemporary and competitive environment. And in so doing, we carry out the Primark business ethically and with the respect for rights and interests of all those who work in our supply chain. Primark is ranked by the International Ethical Trade Initiative as a leader for the 4th year running, placing the company in its top 5 members, and is also recognised by Greenpeace as a leader in the area of detox. Reflecting my journey, I came of a working age into a growing economy, shaped by the policy changes in Ireland with many positive ongoing advantages for women and others, which I salute. I enjoy excellent health, energy and stamina, have an interesting and fulfilling life, happy life and great friends. It was William Butler Yeats who said, "Think where a man's glory begins and ends, and say, my glory was I had such friends." For all that change, my ethic and values have remained profound and constant. Values that have been absorbed and modelled from my home, my place of education, and the ethics and values of the great institution that is University College Dublin, underpinned by the vision of its founder, Cardinal Newman. I hope in some way my life has borne witness to something of the ethic of your founding father, and I take the opportunity to thank University College Dublin for its role in my journey and for honouring me this evening.
Good evening. My name is Alan Ennis, and I am a member of the North American Advisory Board for the UCD Michael Smurfit Business School. I'm delighted to be here this evening. It's my great honour and privilege to introduce my good friend and the second honoree this evening, Hugh Maguire. Hugh and I were contemporaries at UCD. We graduated around the same time. Hugh graduated in 1990 with a Bachelor of Science degree, and in 1992 went on to do a Master of Food Science. Hugh, as you will find out shortly, has had a remarkable professional career. From his early days with Nestle to, for the consultants in the room, burning the midnight oil with McKinsey for a number of years, to today, where he is the CEO of Glanbia's performance nutrition business based out in Chicago. And that business is a billion-dollar business today and one of the main global growth platforms of Glanbia PLC, which is a publicly traded Irish company. In many ways, Hugh epitomizes the UCD graduate in my mind. First of all, he works hard, he plays hard, he has a global perspective, which you'll hear about, and most importantly in my mind, he has his 2 feet planted firmly on the ground. In addition to being a phenomenal businessman, Hugh is also a family man. He is a husband to Sue, who is here tonight, and a father to four wonderful children. in the sports nutrition category, which Hugh will talk about, it's important to embody and embrace that category, and he does that exceptionally well. He's an avid sports fan and fitness enthusiast. In fact, he just completed the Chicago Marathon in just over 4 hours, I should say. He was aiming for just under 4 hours. He said, I was on track for 3 hours, 53 minutes, and then the sun came out.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You could have put me on Kieran before Breach. How do you follow that? I suppose, firstly, to congratulate my honorary co-honoree tonight. It's great to see the passion, which is part of our business as well, the business building and the fact that the ambition is there to come to America and take on what is a very well-established industry. So to you and your colleagues that I met tonight, the best of luck with that, and I watch it with great excitement, and maybe you might get me into one of your stores one of these days. I suppose first and foremost, I'm actually really thrilled, honoured and delighted to accept this honour from UCD, my alma mater. Firstly, a brief thank you to the Dean of the Business School, Kieran, to Sean Kelly, the Chair of the committee. Thank you very much. To the organisers tonight, particularly Tara and Orla, who have been Trojans working behind the scenes for what I think you'll all agree has been a wonderful meal, a great location and an enjoyable evening. So well done to everybody, and thank you. As Alan said, I graduated from UCD in 1992 after 5 wonderful years, firstly completing a degree in science, and I suppose at the time, for me, I did science because I enjoyed it in school, but realised within probably a year or 3 that I didn't want to be a scientist. Moved into food science, and primarily because it was more a business degree than just a science degree, and that's where my career part really started, with that broader degree that UCD offered me. And I have absolutely no doubt that that education I received was a big help in me developing the career I have done today. I've plenty of stories from that time in UCD. Most, if not none, can be shared with this audience tonight. My parents are in the room. But I did meet 2 quite unique sports characters in my time there. When I completed my master's, the technician that supported me on my thesis in the Ag block in UCD was none other than Brian Kerr, who will be well known to the Irish in the group. He, after 25 years as a technician in UCD, he went on to become the manager of the Irish international soccer team. So it's fair to say that myself and Brian spent far more time talking about soccer and sport than we did about the viscosity properties of evaporated skim milk. I never played sport for UCD, probably something I regret now after spending 7 years in the States and seeing the passion and the involvement with all alumni have around their college sports and their colleges, and it really is a big thing to play college sports here in the US. Rugby was my sport. I played for a team in Dublin called Monkstown for 13 years. And it's fair to say back in the 90s, Monkstown would have been a stronger team than UCD, but we played many times. They were always fast, furious games when you played the students. But I remember one game in particular. It was March 1999. We had been victorious against UCD earlier on in the league, and this was a league promotion playoff in the All-Ireland League. My position was a wing forward, so for the Americans in the room, that's a cross between a defensive linebacker and an offensive running back. So my job is to watch the backs and make sure I took them down. Philip Danaher, who was the Irish selector at the time, one of the Irish selectors, came along to the game, so this was big news. And my aspirations of someday maybe playing for Ireland, even at the tender age of 29, hadn't yet faded. So I was up for it. I was ready. On the way out, one of our selectors had a word in my ear and said, look, there's a young fella playing for him today. He didn't play early on in the year. You need to watch him. He's fast, he's quick, he can step off both feet. We were favourites. I was ambitious. I kind of ignored it, and we went out. And as my 2 sons would say, Daddy, you were crushed. We lost 39-15. That young player scored 28 points. My aspirations of playing for Ireland were well and truly shattered. And he was selected the following week to play against Italy and went on to get 141 caps for Ireland, the greatest player ever. My one and only game against Brian O'Driscoll. So Alan spoke about my career. I won't go into too much detail. I joined Nestle out of college, a great way to enter the CPG space on a graduate training program. Moved to Leaf there where my career became more international, and then joined McKinsey for a number of years. A great blue chip training that has stood to me to this day. Coming out of McKinsey, I was very clear what I wanted to do. I wanted to work for an Irish company. I wanted to work for a company where I could truly affect strategy. And I wanted to work for a company that was ambitious about growth. And Glanbia back in 2003 was undergoing a significant transformation. And it's been a wonderful 12 years as we've transformed from a very much a traditional dairy company to a global ingredients and performance nutrition business. In 2008, we made the big step change when we bought Optimum Nutrition, the brand with which you saw today. And hopefully that will encourage you all to work out in the morning. And that was a big strategic step out for Glanbia. A new space, new sector, based in the US, biggest acquisition we'd ever made. So a courageous decision, and some would say foolish at the time, but the other decision they made was to ask Hugh Maguire to come over and run it. So the Maguire family up sticks and moved to Chicago in August 2008. When I look back, and I was asked this question over dinner, how easy was the transition? Moving to Chicago was quite an easy transition, a wonderful city. We're in one of the world's great cities here tonight, but Chicago also with a great skyscape, great culture, great food, great music, great people, and great sports. And by the way, lads, how are the Cubs doing? No? Okay. Okay. We won't talk about sports. Go Mets. And the one thing I suppose about moving to the States is, we've an awful lot of similarities, and there's lots of Americans and Irish in the room tonight. We speak the same language, but we have a slightly different vocab. And when I look back at it, I remember early on telling my PA to put appointments in my diary, and she'd look at me kind of going, that's quite a personal thing to be putting in a diary. The Americans say calendar, we say diary. When my wife would tell my children to put their school bags in the boot, it has to be translated to my daughter. My mom means put your backpacks in the trunk. Recently, we discovered that it's probably dangerous to compliment a man on his dicky bow. It's actually a bow tie in America. And for quite a while, I thought March Madness was referring to the Irish and St. Patrick's Day. And now understand it's one of the best basketball tournaments, and enjoy doing the brackets with my children. So it was an easy transition. But one of the things for tonight's group is living here for the last 7 years, you learn to appreciate the passion and practically obsession that Americans have with their colleges. And the colleges define a lot about who they are, define a lot about what they want to be, their group of friends. It's a more broader experience than just the education or the qualification. And that goes on forevermore, that the alumni are connected to that college, both through sports, but also through association and affiliation for their whole lives. And we see it where we live. So many people walk around with T-shirts from their alma mater. And I go down to South Bend, Indiana every year to watch a Notre Dame football game with 65,000 people, and alumni who have flown in for every game from all over America. So, something that I think we in UCD should be aspiring to. So Glanbia, 2008, we bought Optimum Nutrition. We're the world's largest sports nutrition business with 5 brands in our family. We sell in 100 markets worldwide. We're a top 3 brand in 20. Alan mentioned it, we're over $1 billion. And to put that in context, when we acquired Optimum Nutrition, it was about a $200 million revenue business. So we've grown at over 30% per year. And our mission, and hopefully you got it from the video, is about inspiration. It's to inspire consumers everywhere to deliver on their performance goals. So whether you're going out to compete or run your first 5K, whether you're going out to bulk up and look good in one of Bruges' white T-shirts on a Saturday night, or whether you're looking to recover from the marathon that Alan's about to do next weekend in Washington, we have the products to help you do that. And I think one of the things that's been tremendously exciting for us is to see the growth in awareness of nutrition and the growth in people engaging more actively with more active lifestyles. In this country alone, there are now 54 million people members in gyms, up from 45 million in 2009. 12% of all US adults, 12%, have competed in an endurance event in the last year, which is quite remarkable. And of that, in running events, 56% of all finishers now are female, up from 20% in 1990. So we're seeing huge growth. It was very interesting to see. We talk about advocacy in our business and advocates, and we have one sitting at a table in our Vice Consul General who, when I heard we represent Isopure and ON, said his fridge is full of it, and Isopure has absolutely changed its nutrition regime. So it was great to hear. When we talk about the business, and when I talk about the business, I talk about our business being distinctive in two key areas: our brands, and we have very strong brands with incredible loyal consumers who are great promoters of our brands. But I also talk about our people. We've 1,700 people worldwide. We're in 24 different countries. And without those people, we wouldn't have been as successful. And certainly I wouldn't be standing here today accepting this honour from UCD. I've a group of them. I'm surprised they're still as quiet. It's not like them. But, I would like to acknowledge them public in the crowd. Without their efforts and hard work over the last 7 years, we wouldn't have been successful. So, well done, guys. It was mentioned earlier on as well, just a couple of final thank yous. There's quite a lot of Irish in the room, so I'm... Is that it? Let me say that again. There's quite a lot of Irish in the room. I assume you all have Irish mammies? Let me go again. I assume you all have Irish mammies? Well, those of you who know, an Irish mammy is a very proud individual, and very proud, but also beats the modesty into us as Irish people. It's okay for her to boast about you, but by God, you better not boast yourself. So I'm delighted that my mum and dad are here tonight. My mum, after some tough health issues over the last 6 months, and when I look back, growing up in the 70s, 80s in Ireland, for those that did, it was a tough place, and money was always in short supply with the taxes and the interest rates the way they were. But they always made sure that we had proper education. And I'd like to just, on this evening, thank them very much for all their love, support, commitment. I know they'll be quietly proud, and my mother will be on the phone all night texting. And lastly, to the most important alumni of UCD in the room tonight, which is my wife, Sue. We met at the tender age of 17 in first year science at UCD, so UCD, you have a lot to answer for. We started dating, if memory serves me correctly, February 1988, which was about 3 months before my first year exams. The cynics amongst my friends suggested that this was a relationship of convenience, that Sue had immaculate lecture notes and attended every lecture. Let's just say I was not as diligent, but has been, so from meeting in first year in college, has always been there for me, hugely supportive as my career has progressed, always with a little bit of persuasion up for the next new challenge. Whether that was joining McKinsey 3 weeks before Aoife was born and living on an airplane for 3 years, or back in 08, telling her, let's go to America, maybe only for a couple of years, but let's go experience America. So without that support with 4 great kids, I wouldn't be here today either. So thank you, Sue. So that's it. I hope you have a great evening, and slán agus banna glib go léir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tara Collins, and I'm the Director of Alumni Relations for the Smurfit School and the Quinn School, which make up our UCD School of Business. Delighted to see so many people here tonight, and just want to congratulate our honorees once again. Hugh and Breach, you're an inspiration to all of us. Tonight is a celebration of our alumni. It's a celebration of all of you in the room, and we as a school are very proud to be your alma mater, so thank you for your continued support. Our students compete with the best internationally, and so must we. And the continued involvement of our graduates, friends, and corporate partners can take us to the next level. Attracting the best students, regardless of their financial means, is central to our vision to be an international business school. Each year, the school is able to offer approximately 100 scholarships to the most deserving and promising students. Securing additional scholarship support continues to be one of our top priorities. And we are deeply grateful to our donors, to you. With your continued generosity and support, we can continue to support these students. I'd like to show you a short video of a number of the students that have benefited from the funds that we've raised at this dinner, which is now running 13 years. And as Sean mentioned earlier on this evening, the profits from tonight's dinner are going to North American students, and we're trying to attract the best talent into Ireland from North America. I'll show you a video now.
Obtaining a scholarship to me means coming to Smurfit, because when I was choosing between MBA programs, I looked up the top programs in Europe on the Financial Times website, chose the ones I wanted to go to, and then applied for scholarships. So from that, I was only going to go to the school that gave me the best deal. Luckily enough for me, a couple of them did, and I got to choose, and I wanted to come to Smurfit.
For me, as an American coming here, it was one, an opportunity to get a much more international flavor, and I think that comes both from it being, for me, abroad, so for me being in Europe, as well as the classroom itself.
We do a lot of group projects, like I have a consulting one for my class where we're working with an actual company, and so you're actually kind of seeing like a real-world application of what you're learning.
And everyone is very friendly. You always find someone that will help you with the studies or with the personal issues.
It brings me one step closer to becoming a good business leader and one of the good role models for Muslim women in the world today, which I don't think there are so many yet.
The scholarship brought me here to Ireland to live in a different culture, to meet new friends and new people.
I wouldn't have had the experience, it wouldn't have been the degree that I wanted, it wouldn't have been the experience that I wanted if I hadn't been able to get the scholarship.
I'm proud to go to an institution that has scholarship support available for students, and also I recognize the importance of that for society as a whole, for students who receive scholarships.
And receiving scholarship isn't just the end. I think it's rather the beginning of a new page in my life.
So on behalf of our students, just to say thank you once again for your continued support. So we're coming to the end of our formal proceedings. I'd like to thank the Metropolitan Club. I think they've looked after us very well this evening. I'd also like to thank my colleagues, Molly Deneen, Maggie, Dervla, and in particular Orla O'Malley, who has worked tirelessly to ensure the success of this event. I'd like to thank all of our corporate sponsors and our donors, because without your support we wouldn't be able to run such a meaningful event. Tonight is about you and about how you make a difference. It's a celebration of our alumni, our students, our colleagues, and our corporate friends. It's about all of you. So the bar is going to reopen shortly. I'd like to draw your attention to our after-dinner entertainment. Speaking about scholarships, Jeremy Crothers, who graduated with a business and law degree last year, moved to New York just a few months ago, and he has joined a jazz band. He was an Ad Astra Scholarship student for music, and he'll perform for you this evening. So please stay and enjoy the evening, and we hope to see you again this time next year. Thank you very much.